What's a quiet sign that someone has their act life together? Story 1. They balance out their life well. Work-life balance. They listen more than give unsolicited advice. They're careful about giving advice. They're considerate of everyone involved when a situation arises. They don't need to share all their successes because they don't need validation from others. Just themselves. They give others grace when they see them struggle because sometimes people need it. They're able to be assertive when needed to meet their own needs as well. This means saying no when they need to make sure they fill their own cups before helping others fill theirs, energy-wise. Story 2. They don't complain about drama. They just quietly remove themselves from it. You'll notice they stay calm, handle things without a scene, and somehow always have snacks, chargers, and a backup plan. Story 3. They take care of themselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and won't allow other people to compromise that. Story 4. They make an effort, take care of themselves and the things that belong to them. Clean apartment, well-groomed, follows a budget, healthy friendships, stable employment, try to exercise and eat well. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the consistent, genuine effort is there. Answer. This is so true. I have a very successful client, and over the years I've noticed how often he mentions taking care of his things in various ways. He told me he took his young grandson on a vacation, and the kid threw his blazer on something, and he said, "Hey now, that's not how we treat our possessions," and gave the kid a gentle lesson on the importance of caring for what you had. I've never forgotten that, and you are so right. Story 5. Money talks, wealth whispers. They're not running around showboating their togetherness. They just wear it and live in it. Story 6. Different kind of answer, but I feel this to be true. They know that no one does. They know life is always a work in progress, that there's always room to evolve and more to learn. Story 7. They always seem calm even when stuff goes sideways, like they've got backup plans for their backup plans. Story 8. The quietest sign of all, no drama. Show me someone who has constant dramas with their family, their friends, their bosses, their colleagues, the woman at the dry cleaner, the bank, the credit card people, the mechanic, and everybody else on the planet. And that's a person who is the common denominator in all those problems. If that's your life, you make unwise decisions and need to cool it. Story 9. They don't get fazed by much. Once your basic needs are met and you're generally feeling secure about where you are in life, it's easier to handle more complex and/or unexpected matters. A secure person is likely to be less distressed by an unusual situation than someone who already has many other concerns that are draining their personal resources. Story 10. I think it's a lot like everyone is kind of saying, to take care of yourself. I am 67, so my list for taking care of myself is a bit different from you younger people. Taking care of filling out annual or monthly forms, feeding yourself, don't rely upon your parents or spouse to provide for you. Being an adult means that you can take care of yourself and others. It may be children or elderly parents, but you stand up and be an adult. Keep your dental and others' doctor's appointment making sure to update your prescriptions and take those meds as directed. Exercise if your body is able to for at least 30 minutes a day. Make sure daily that your parents are okay and their health is good and they are eating. Same with your grown children. If you have an animal, make sure their health and grooming gets done. Be the one your family and friends can rely on. Story 11. I don't think physically taking care of yourself is the best indicator, because I take pretty good care of myself, and my life is far from together. I'm struggling like crazy. Story 12. They get enough sleep at night. This may be a chicken egg thing, but the ones who get enough sleep always seem the sanest and most togther. Story 13. They're not complaining, gossiping about other people. Complaining and gossiping about others is a low-key way of putting them down to feel superior. Story 14. They do things properly which impact others, e.g., making a will, having emergency numbers and a hiking plan left with others, returning calls promptly, letting their neighbors know trash pickup day, having an advance directive, having their accounts and passwords organized and known to trusted others, keeping in touch with relatives when there are funerals and weddings, basically living in harmony with others. Story 15. Consistency. They tend to dress the same, do the same routine, have almost no drama, and they do not invite things in their life that would shake all that up. They are usually the nice people at work that always shows up on time, clean, friendly, well-rested, ready to go, and be helpful, and they do the same thing at their homes. I aspire to be that way, but it isn't easy. It takes constant vigilance to be consistent. Story 16. Their plants are alive. They don't have 342 unread emails or 3 exes still watching their stories. Suspiciously impressive. Story 17. 1. Other people consistently point out how well they are doing. 2. Consistent, solid routine. 3. Strict about their goals but flexible on getting there. 4. Maximizes their time through effective multitasking. 5. Healthy outlets for their emotions and passions. 6. Lives within a realistic budget and saves wisely. 7. Effective communicator. 8. Quietly stops entertaining aspects of their life, e.g., dating, friendship, etc., of any kind that don't serve them. 9. Openly appreciative of even small gestures. 10. Provides grace to others, even those they do not like. 11. Positive disposition, so much so people like and trust them. 12. They view their life successes as normal. 13. Not frequently posting on social media. Story 18. Just being happy for other people, cheering the success and growth of others, not trying to keep up with the Joneses or dragging others down. Story 19. They always appreciate what and who they have in their life with cup half full, not complaining or have a feeling of lack. To them, life is a journey and things change. Story 20. Keep the discipline to keep yourself healthy and jump on shoot before things cause a problem, and pay bills the minute they're due to start. Story 21. They don't get road rage when someone is driving slow, in the fast lane, okay? Half joke, but I only say that because it infuriates me. Story 22. They return the shopping cart after they have no use for it. It takes more discipline and consideration than people realize. Story 23. They aren't reactive in disagreement. They can listen and calmly disagree and hold a long conversation as to why. That means they know how to socialize with adults, like proper adults. Story 24. Man, I don't even know anymore. Some people I grew up with seem to be doing awesome. We grew up together in pretty ghetto conditions, and nearly everyone we know is doing really bad right now, the few who aren't dead or in prison. So I was very happy to see this group of siblings make it out the hood and do so well for themselves, especially the oldest brother who spent many years gangbanging and hooked on meth. But then the youngest brother came to town and unloaded on me all the shoot that had been going down, how they've all been fighting and screwing each other over inheritance from a distant relative, and how none of them earn a living wage and are just blowing through the inheritance at the moment. It's all temporary. They're going to run out of luck. I was severely disappointed. Their house was my second home growing up. I know their whole darn family. I used to work at the family business. Their stepdad gave me a chance when I quit substances, and that job definitely kept me out of jail long enough to get my CDL and fend for myself. I was kind of heartbroken. Not sure I know anyone who is making it anymore. Besides me, that is. Makes me wonder how much of my own success is an illusion about to end horribly. Story 25. Someone who is happy, like for real, genuinely, unabashedly happy, in spite of everything, whatever job they have, with whoever they're dating, with whatever family they come from, with whatever childhood they've had, whether they're pretty or fat or short or tall or whatever lot they've received, they're happy. Story 26. They show up on time and prepared for the occasion, aka they bring a thoughtful gift to someone's birthday party, etc. Story 27. When someone gets scammed, 400 being sold a fake product after meeting up with the person. They think they are lucky not to get stabbed with a knife and just say, forget about the money. Story 28. They do not care about social media, not needed to prove themselves through their posts. They just post what they like because they want to. Story 29. They don't rush into relationship after relationship, meaning they know how to deal with their emotions and process them. They can sit with discomfort and take time to heal and learn from their experiences. Story 30. You literally stop hearing about them. My old roommate told me once he thought I was dead because he hadn't heard from or about me in years. I just worked a lot and stayed out of social media and drama. Saving money for traveling and experiences meant more. Story 31. When people stop talking about their goals and just work on them. One thing I've noticed as I've gotten older is those that work in silence are often much further ahead than anyone else in the room. Story 32. If they mind their own business and not get involved in others' drama and unnecessary negativity, they mind their own and live in peace. Story 33. They don't make everything an emergency. Their texts don't come with drama. They show up on time without making a big deal out of it. Bills are paid, plans are kept, and they don't need to constantly announce they're hustling or working on themselves. Life feels calm around them, not because nothing ever goes wrong, but because they don't let chaos run the show. Story 34. You can tell by their posture. You can also tell by whether they are a nose breather instead of being a mouth breather. Story 35. They're healthy active, have money in the bank, and are consistent with their relationships, long-term friendships, no erratic spouses or frequently hopping from one GFBIBF to another. I honestly can't think of anything else except for any mental conditions, living with depression, bipolar, etc. Story 36. They do things to have fun, hobbies and passions outside of just grind at work. Even people who are very productive, stereotypical corporate types have a life outside of work if they actually have their shoot together. Story 37. They don't tell you what they're going to buy or where they're going to go. They just do it. No drama, no fanfare. Story 38. They don't complain about anything. People who usually have solutions instead of excuses tend to not put blame on other things. Story 39. They just buy a car reliable and not too flashy and actually keep it for more than 2 years. They keep a job and stop buying phones on payments every time a new one comes out. Story 40. The active roles they play with their children's life, and being sure they put them before themselves. Story 41. Adverse events happen in their lives, whether they were responsible for it or not, and they deal with it. And if it was their fault, they own up to it. Story 42. They own scissors, like actual working scissors, not the rusty junk drawer ones that smear tape instead of cutting it. I'm talking clean cut, adult scissors that live in a designated spot. Also, they refill the ice cube tray without being passive-aggressive about it. That's real emotional maturity right there. Story 43. For me, when no one says anything, the best thing you can do is to be discreet and succeed in silence. There's no need to boast so much. Story 44. I am quite addicted to attention, so I do social media for it because it gives me so much of the attention I need. Story 45. I have distanced myself from family and friends that have too much drama in their lives. I don't get invited anymore to holiday get-togethers, which I have declined before, and I have a peaceful day. Fine with me. Story 46. A lot of the comments in this thread don't make much sense to me. In my experience, the people who have their lives together are the ones who have their lives arranged in a way that aligns with their own morals, beliefs, and values. Someone can have a messy house, but it be because they are busy providing support to their community by volunteering, for example. Yes, their home is in disarray, but speaking to them might show that they are regulated, calm, and driven. Or not, it really depends on if they're doing it because they believe in it or for attention because they feel obligated, you'd say. I've known someone with raging ADHD who is always late and barely makes enough money to get by. But her personality lights up every room she enters. She has a partner who dotes on her and supports her, and she has changed many lives, including mine. Story 47. Avocados eaten before rotten, check. No social media because fudge that noise, check. Calm and considerate, check. Confidence without overconfidence, check. Physical, spiritual, and emotional health, check. But I need a physically written monetary check because finances are shoot. Anxiety and depression are a meanie, and the symptom is overspending for me. I just want some Mexican food to feel better, okay? And $60K in debt later. Well, I want to hear from people who are just like me and dealing with it. How do you cope under tremendous debt? Story 48. They send you random streams of text messages, many including footnotes regarding clarification of grammatical errors. Story 49. Or they confidently make the right choices for themselves, regardless of what other people may think. X. Passing up dessert even though it may come off as rude in the moment. Story 50. When they have their ups and downs, their downs aren't that bad, and they don't cause major difficulties to the people around them. They're also able to follow a good path and have a goal towards where they want to be with good progress. Story 51. Regardless of their life circumstances, they listen thoughtfully when you're having a conversation with them. The opposite of this, a person who is a mess seems distracted, not really picking up on the tone of the person talking, always looking for an opening to talk instead about themselves. I think this lack of listening in general manifests itself in being very judgmental about others, especially when the people's lives they're judging is none of their business. Story 52. They're calm, reliable, and don't make a show of it. They show up, follow through, handle change without spiraling, and they don't need to prove anything. You just feel the steadiness in them. Story 53. My GF has her life kind of set in stone. The crazy thing that stand out are the abundance of time till action, and the lack of worry for major responsibilities. This all adds up into someone who just adults all the time has never seemed to be bothered by it. The only times she stresses is about going to work, waking up and going, not the job itself. And if something outrageous happens, like car crash or someone dies, she's kind of a standard of person I never see. It's usually on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Type A, super hustler or depressed, broken and stuck. She's just there and relatively happy to be there. Story 54. They do things like train for a marathon or learn a new language. That tells me they are getting basic needs met across a variety of categories. Story 55. They're not always rushing or over-explaining or trying to prove something. They just move through life kinda smooth. Also, their space doesn't have to be fancy, but it's clean. Story 56. I think when they're being silent, when someone is at peace and they have nothing to prove, most of those people already know what to do or they already put their life together. Story 57. One time I asked my friend to stop talking for 1 minute. He couldn't do it. I think being able to no talk or even close your eyes for at least 7 minutes is a good way to know if you have some peace of mind. Story 58. Submerge avocados in a jar of water and put them in the fridge. It dramatically slows down the ripening to rotten process. Story 59. I kind of feel bad that so many of these apply to me, and yet I still don't have my act together. Shameful, really. Story 60. If they are into nerdy stuff, they don't go around acting like some clone of comic book guy. That means not gatekeeping or getting most of their self-worth from what knowledge they can lord over other people, or being good at something like Magic the Gathering. Story 61. When it comes to essentials or fun entertainment, they don't bat an eye at price. If it's a want, they'll still try to find a deal. LOL. Story 62. When someone gets hit with a major unexpected expense and they just shrug their shoulders and pay it. Maybe they make a phone call or two. Story 63. Obviously, you have to be financially and emotionally stable. Someone with good communication skills and nearly all their relationships are stable. Routines are not considered a rut or a bad thing. You can have a great routine and still have times of spontaneity. I also think physically being active. You don't have to bench 250 and run a marathon, but being able to have a full day at Six Flags or something comparable without keeling over. Story 64. A company figured out that 99% of people who purchase premium bird seed monthly are an excellent credit risk. They find people with the best credit scores, look for commonalities in what they buy, and only people with excellent credit buy premium bird seed. Story 65. They don't flip out if something goes wrong, they just deal with it in a mature, calm manner and then move on. Story 66. I think they are kinder because they stress less about stuff they don't need to vent in a way that harms others. Story 67. All answers are bad. There is no single thing that means someone has it together. You should never stop checking on the people you care about. One of my best friends would have ticked almost every box people are saying, but ended up eliminate himself, and it only came out later that he was incredibly depressed for years. Story 68. Probably not posting on Reddit to see if they can figure out if they have their life together is a good start. Story 69. It is also noticeable in small, consistent habits. Clean clothes, tidy space, good emotional hygiene. They do not explode when faced with any frustration, and the ability to say no without guilt. Story 70. Having the same phone number, email, social medias consistently. Nothing screams him a mess more than having a new number constantly and 8 FB pages LOL. Story 71. Me sitting here nodding like a fool, reading all the top answers, describing me my life to a TE, being so supremely grateful for it. Story 72. I doubt there ever is a real indicator to the third party that everything is running smooth. Neither is there an indicator that things are going south until shoot hits the fan. The only thing I would advise is make sure that everyone and everything around you is right by you. Whether they have their lives together or not is really hard to tell, almost impossible. People are fighting battles silently, others are putting shows on. Be careful. Story 73. Someone who stays out of drama. Possibly off social media or has limited use, off someone who stays out of the pubs and clubs. Someone who is content and peaceful. Story 74. In my experiences, adults over 30 that I know who are in good shape, well-dressed more often than not, properly groomed, and aren't super online, tend to have their lives together dialed in. Discipline and measured decision-making tends to become applicable over all areas of one's life. Or it doesn't, and you can see that too. Story 75. People who don't break the law in the USA. We have so many bullshit laws or ones people choose to ignore. If you're successful enough to follow them all daily, you're doing pretty well. I've met only 1 or 2 people this apply to. Most people litter or have something wrong with their car, don't use turn signals, jaywalk, or one of a million different things. To me, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you're together. Story 76. When shoot goes wrong, they deal with it, rather than panic. My BIL appears to have his life in order, a decent car. House is well decked out with modern kitchen electronics. But he nearly broke down when he had a relatively small water leak. No insurance, no savings, no clue on how to fix anything himself. A lot of the stuff that got damaged he brought on borrowed money. We helped him out, but he was back to his old ways soon enough. Story 77. Friend of mine been careful with his money and investing smartly since 16. He's under 30 and almost a millionaire. Only debt is mortgage.